Welcome, everyone. I'm in sunny California, and I hope you're all doing well. Um, I'm glad you could join us, and we'll get started with our meeting, see if we can cover a lot of materials. So let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for being with us, for guiding us, for giving us things that will keep our minds bright and alert. Help us to work together to learn the best we can so we can help the young people in our church and our conference to do the best they can for you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. So I'm going to start sharing the screen that has the PowerPoint. And the topics for today are Google Classroom, Jotform, and Dropbox. So I would say of the three, Google Classroom is going to be the most in-depth. I think it's the most complex. So we'll kind of tackle that one first. The second one is a product called Jotform. And we kind of went over something similar to that last week called Google Forms. But this is just kind of an alternative to that. And then the third one is a product called Dropbox. And again, so this is a tool that probably was one of the pioneers in terms of being able to share files online. I would say there's a lot of alternatives to Dropbox. Kind of at most people's levels, Dropbox is something that the features of Dropbox are some things that you can achieve with a lot of alternative products. However, I'm just going to kind of go over the general concept of cloud storage and then some specific features of Dropbox. So, all right, let's start with Google Classroom. Google Classroom. So what is Google Classroom? The Google Classroom is a free, that's the keyword, an easy tool that helps educators efficiently manage and assess progress while enhancing connections with learners from school, from home, or on the go. So as I guess three main components. It simplifies, it allows you to manage your class. So really, it's usually used for a classroom setting, but in our specific case as Pathfinder leaders, we can use it to manage our Pathfinder club. And we'll kind of go over that. It allows us to simplify teaching and learning. You can add students directly to the Google Classroom class. Either you can do it explicitly, or you can share a code or link so that the whole class can join. And I'll go over that a little bit more in detail. It's very easy to set up a class, a basic class, and create classwork that appear in the students' calendars. You can also easily communicate with parents or guardians and automatically send them updates. And all of these features are built in. It also allows you to measure your students' progress. So you can store frequently used feedback in your comment bank for fast, personalized responses. It gives you the ability to grade and keep track of the assignments that students have completed using something called rubrics. And we'll go over that as well. And then finally, it allows you to collaborate. So it strengthens the student connections. It connects your students from anywhere, especially during this COVID time. And I think it's more useful now during COVID, but really the club that I belong to, Fairview Flames, we've been using it since even prior to COVID. It just gives you the ability to keep track of work and using a hybrid. Right now, I think it's more relevant that it's a hybrid approach where you can do it online and offline, but we can use it for both. You can communicate important announcements to the stream, and we'll go over the stream as well. And I know we're using Zoom right now, but Google actually has its own video conferencing tool called Google Meet. It's built right into Classroom. We may go over that a little bit. It's a comparable tool to Zoom. So, but it's in a nutshell, Google Meet is essentially a Zoom competitor. So, moving on. What are the basic requirements or to be able to access Google Classroom? So, like many things in today's world, you need an internet connection. If you don't have an internet connection, it's not going to work. So that's the absolute number one requirement. You need an internet connection. I think some components you may be able to download to your computer and use offline to a certain extent, but really to be able to use Google Classroom to the full potential, you really need to have that internet connection. That's one. Once you have that internet connection, it really can be one of the key advantages of using Google Classroom is that it's available on pretty much any platform, any computer. So it could be a Windows computer, it could be an Apple Macintosh computer, it can be an iOS device, so an iPhone, an iPad, by downloading the Google Classroom app from the App Store. It can be an Android device, whether it's Android phone or tablet, pretty much any Android device that has access to the Google Play Store, you should be able to download the Google Classroom app from the Google Play Store and install that and use it on that Android device. I know nowadays with a lot of kids at home or going to school from home, a lot of school districts are using Chromebooks or distributing Chromebooks. Even a Chromebook will have access to Google Classroom since it's essentially just a website. The second or third requirement is you need for this Google Classroom, you have to have a Google or Gmail account. So that means that both the teacher or instructors and the students, everybody that is going to access Google Classroom needs to have a Google or Gmail account. All right. So let's go over the 5 basic functions of Google Classroom. And we'll start with this. So it's gonna be kind of an interactive session here. So I'm gonna go through creating a class, adding a material to a class, one material, maybe adding an assignment, creating a rubric, and adding students to that classroom. So let's go here. So creating a class. So the first thing that you would need to do is go to a website. It's called classroom.google.com. Once you're there, the first screen that you will see are all the classes that you belong to. So for me, this year for the Fairview Flames, my wife and I were teaching the Fairview Flames Rangers class. So I'm part of that class. I've also kind of started a test class for today's session, but I can also create a brand new class here. So if I go to the top right, before that, you have to make sure that you're logged into your Google account. So for me, I'm currently logged into my Gmail account. If you are logged into a Gmail account already, then you don't have to re-log in. If you aren't, then the first screen that will pop up is a sign-in screen. From that sign-in screen, and let me show you. The sign-in screen looks like this. So you can either click on sign in and then Google Classroom, and then you would type in your Gmail account if you already have a Gmail account. If you don't, then you click on this link and you create the account. Assuming you've logged in, then again, the first screen that you will see is this screen here. You may have some classes here if you're already part of a classroom. If not, then there will be nothing on this screen. The way to create a new class is clicking on this plus button on the top right. So you would say create a class. So create this, and it gives you a disclaimer. And you click on the checkbox and continue. Here, you would create a class. For us, so there's two ways that I think you can kind of organize this. Either each class in your club can be created as a class, or you may also be able to create one class, meaning your whole club is one class, and then each level inside of your club, so the friends level, rangers, explorers, and so on, they can be created as separate sections. It's up to you. It's flexible that way. But today I'm going to create a test class 1 here. So that's the only required field in this class. All the other ones are optional. Maybe I'll put test explorers class. Okay. And then here it's optional, so I'm not going to type anything in. What it'll do is it'll create the class here. And you'll see that it has a name of the class at the top. Here's a unique code for that class, and we'll go over that a little bit later when we start inviting you all to the class. You can also select a theme, different themes that you want. It's pretty easy to do. Change the theme. You can upload your own photo if you want, maybe a photo of your club's logo or something like that. I will not change it here, but you can do that here as well. So you can upload a photo and that'll replace the background instead of the theme. From here, so we've already created a class. Number 1 is done. Adding the material. So the way that you do that is you go to classwork. And so let me go over these 4 screens here. The stream is what it sounds like. So anytime there's any sort of activity that is created inside of this class, whether it's an announcement that the teacher makes to the entire class. Hello, class. You can post it to the stream here, and it'll show up in the stream. It's almost like a Facebook feed or an Instagram feed specifically for this class. It's not accessible anywhere. It's only accessible for the people that are in this class. So in this case, where it's the Explorers class, maybe I want to send a message just to the Explorers class. That's a general message, not necessarily related to a specific assignment or a test, but for a general announcement. Students can also write to the stream. They can respond to a stream. It can be a message to all students, or if you have students in your class, you can in here, you will also have messages. Since I'm logged in as one of the instructors, messages that are directed to me will also show up in this stream as well. For example, if a student asks me a question directed specifically to me, it will show up in this stream. That's the stream. And then you can also, it'll automatically keep track of assignments, tests, any work that is upcoming will show up on the left-hand side. The next tab is kind of the meat of this tool is where you would create your classwork. So you can create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 different types of classwork. An assignment, which is like a homework assignment. Quiz assignment would be, a quiz that you want to assign to your students or your class members. Question is just a question, Material is maybe material that you want your students to study or look at, but it's not necessarily something that they need to turn in for an assignment. It's just information that you can add. And then you can also create a different topics based on that. Okay, people. So here you can have more than one teacher assigned to each class. So for me, since my wife and I are both teaching, I would invite her as a teacher. And she would be invited. Once you invite that teacher, then it shows up here as invited. But until that person accepts the invite, it will just stay in the invited status, and they will not have access to the class until they accept the invite. The invite is sent via email, and I believe if they have the app installed in their phone or tablet, then it may also show up as a notification as well. Similarly, you can add students directly to here, and we'll go over that a little bit later. Or you can invite them through the link or that code that I showed you earlier. Finally, this section will have the grades of everybody that is part of your class. So we don't have any grades here right now, but towards the end of our demo today, we'll start seeing some grades here. All right, adding material. So if we go back to the classwork and I wanted to create just some informational material for our club, then I would click here, go to classwork, create material, and this is Pathfinder history. This is a PDF of the history of Pathfinders. Okay, so then you have multiple options here. You can either create a Google Doc that contains that material. You can create a Google slide, like a PowerPoint, a sheet if you've already created it, a drawing, or a form. Or you can also attach a file that's in your Google Drive account, a link to maybe a website, a file, which is what I'm going to do, a PDF file that's on my computer, or even a link to a YouTube video. So those are the different ways that you can create different material for your class. This is one I'm going to do. I'm going to upload from my computer. So this screen pops up, and I can browse and upload the Pathfinder history brief PDF file that that we already have here. And here you can say it's going to be for my Test Explorers class. I want it visible to all students. Again, if you have set up your class, maybe in the format of something like the entire club is one class, and then each class, like division, is a separate section, then you can direct this document or material specifically to one, like just the Explorers class, for example. And then you can create a topic, history. So then you can kind of group different things together. All right. And then if you post it here, then what you will see is now in here in the stream, you'll see that everybody, that has access to it this material will show up in the stream. And then once you go into that material, you'll see the title of the material, the short description, and then the actual PDF. And then you can view the PDF here. Okay. I see that Marilyn has written that the conference, Texas conference, has set up each Pathfinder level as a separate class. Okay, good. All right, that's adding a piece of material. You know what? I'm gonna go over and do the students one first, and then we'll go over the assignments, because I think it would be nice if you guys can see it happening in real time. All right, so why don't we go to adding a student. So I'll give you the different ways we can add students, and you guys can be the students for this class here. So the way you do this is, if you can, go to classroom.google.com right now. So if you go there, and then what you will be able to do, hopefully, is if you want to join a class, you can type in this code here, W7NF2PJ. So the way that you would do that is, if you go to Classroom, you should be able to see it here. And if you click on plus, join class, and you can type in the code into this class right here. For me, since I'm already in there, and then you click on join. It probably won't let me join again. That's one way. The other way is, see, I see Cat24 has already joined. The other way I can join is I can type in an email address. So I'm gonna ask Miguel to join this class and invite him. That's another way that you can invite people to your class directly. Third way is maybe you have like an email distribution list set up for your club members. You can copy the invite link and then go to your email. And maybe here, for example, this would be ours, and say that this is the link to the classroom invite link, and you can invite them that way. That's a third way to do that. Okay. Any questions so far? I see Kat has joined, Lori has joined, and Miguel is still invited, but has not joined yet. All right. If there are no questions, then I'm going to keep moving on. All right.
There was a question in the chat. Somebody wanted you to go over something again.
Okay. Let's see the chat. I'm going to go through the chat right now. Let's see your church. Request a center. There will be yours. Okay. We need to order books. Do we need to order books this time, or everything will be provided online for each class level?
I think that was directed to me.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to the question.
The answer is no, you don't need books because everything's in the class levels.
Cool. So Marilyn, are you saying that the Texas conference has already created classes that we can copy and clone, that we can use?
Yes.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. That would be a great link. I don't know if we
have to ask Iris, and so because we make them customized to that church, and the documents become theirs. Their individual churches have their own documents.
Very cool. Very cool. So then a lot of the things that we're talking about here, maybe it's already done for us.
Well, you'll want to customize the assignments and materials to meet your needs of your own your own church.
Cool.
But the framework's there for you, and then some samples of stuff.
Okay. All right. Okay. So the next question that I see is, Could you go back over that? How to invite students. It was too fast. So let's see if we can go over that just real quick. Let's see. So there are multiple ways you can invite people to your class. You click on the People tab. See, a lot of people have joined. The first way is you click on this little plus button next to Students, and then you can click on this little icon on the top right that says Copy Invite Link. And what that will do is it'll copy it to your clipboard, or you can copy this. Yeah, you can copy that to your clipboard and then email this link to whoever you want. So I'm gonna put this link that I copied in here. So that's one. The second way you can do that is by, if you have, if you want to invite each individual student and you know their email addresses, then you can type in their email address here. So I'm gonna invite my son, my email address. And since I'm logged into my account and he's in my Google or Gmail contact form address book, it will show up in the search result. If not, then you can just type in an email address, click on it, and click on invite. That's the second way that you can do that, inviting them directly.
Question?
Yes.
So just to make sure I understood, if you go the copy the link route, that would be if you want to send the link out to the group.
Yes.
And then if you type in the email in that box, it's to send it to one particular person. Correct.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yep. So that's the second way. And then the third way is by, if they already have, I think a lot of students actually, you know what, I'm not 100% sure, but I'll just say this. So if somebody already has access to Google classroom.google.com, if you go there, then all you would need to do is give them this code. This code will allow them, let's say it's this code here. This code is unique for this class. So I go to classroom.google.com. As a user, you click on the top right plus button and you instruct your student to click on that plus button, click on join class, and then this window pops up. And then what you can do is just type in or paste in the class code that was on that screen earlier. And then you click on join. And then that student will be able to join this class specifically. All right. Let's see. Do the students need Gmail accounts? Yes. It's an absolute requirement that you need a Gmail account. You can upload books into your Google Classroom for your kids to view in English or Spanish. Yep, plus teacher material. The kids can't use their school email address. Yes, that is correct also, Lori. I would say that it has to be a personal Gmail account. I know, for example, my son's school district uses like Google to power their email for school, but really they should be using their personal email addresses, not their school issued email address. So for my son, it's like something friscoisd.edu or something like that. He would not want to use that. You would use your personal Gmail account. Okay. All right, now that we have some information, some students in the class, we'll see here.
Steve, can I interrupt
Yes.
just a second?
Sure.
I don't believe they have to have a Gmail account, because for iCamper, people had all kinds of email accounts. You cannot have a corporate account, a group account, an org. It has to be a .com type account or a .net. But if I recall correctly, we had lots of iCamper people without Gmail accounts.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have to register it with Gmail. You don't have to have a Gmail account, but you can register even your corporate account with Gmail and it'll let you use it.
So
we had people having trouble accessing it
if you don't have a Gmail account? Yeah, I would say the reason why, maybe it's not specifically for Classroom, it's not required, but I would say a lot of the features that are built into Classroom utilize other Google tools. For example, Google Docs, Google Slides, and Google Sheets. And maybe it's similar where if you want to create new Google Docs or edit Google Docs, it's a lot easier, a lot more seamless if you have like a Google account. And I think you're right. If you can either have a Gmail specific account, I think it's a little bit more tricky, but I think you can also associate a non-Gmail account to a Google account. But the simplest way to think about it is you should be using some sort of a Gmail account or a Google account to be able to utilize Google Classroom to the fullest potential. All right. All right, so I've already added material and everybody should be able to see this material. I'm gonna create an assignment here. So go to classwork, create, and create an assignment, okay? Test assignment. Okay, so there's many different types of assignments you can create. I like, to create, I'm gonna create maybe a form. So you can answer a question. So go to create, answer the question on the Google form. So go to create forms, and it'll create a form specifically for this assignment, test assignment number 1. What is your favorite food? Okay. And as we learned last week, there's different types of questions that you can ask. But I'm just gonna click a short answer type of question, make this a required question to answer. And then I'm gonna click on, let's see, send. Okay. I don't know if you need to create send. So I think you can just, it's done. It's already created. So now the assignment is created, if you see here, the classwork, but you'll see that it's currently in a draft mode. So think about it this way. You can create assignments for the entire Pathfinder year, but you can schedule when those assignments are visible and submittable by the students, okay? So I created an assignment and I created the form, but currently it's not assigned to anybody yet. You have multiple options. So, before we assign the assignment, you can assign different points to it, maybe a 10-point assignment or just an ungraded assignment. It's up to you. You can associate a due date. So I'll do it today, and even the due date time as well, due time. And again, similar to the material that I created earlier, you can either assign it, associate it to a specific topic or not. It's up to you. And then we'll go over the rubric portion a little bit later. I'm going to assign it, and students will see the assignment in their streams immediately. Click on assign, okay? And then as soon as you assign it, it should show up in everybody that has registered for this class in your stream. It should show up in your stream. It should also show up in your classwork section. So this is the view that I have as the instructor or teacher, but each student should have their test assignment as well. And they might not see all of the specific information here, for example, who's turned it in or not, but they'll be able to see it as something that they can, that it's been assigned to them, okay? Once you assign the work, let's see if anybody has turned in the homework assignment already. Okay. Let's see. I see. So already I see that 3 people have turned in the assignment. Okay. You may even be able to see who turned it in. All right. So you can see who turned in the assignment. It's Cat24, Marilyn, Lori, and Jada. And Patricia and Vidori. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. So 6 people have turned it in. As the instructor for that class, you can go into each person's assignment and see there. So you can assign the points to them here if they turn it in, or you can return it back to them if you want. Let's see if we can look at the actual assignment that was turned in. Okay. Let's see how do you do that. Wow, everybody's turned in. Okay, I should be able to, here we go. So this was the assignment. I believe if you click on edit, you should be able to see all of the responses in this section here. And you'll see a summary. So, and we went over this last week with Google Forms. A summary of, I see pizza is the most popular, only 2 people, but another one, pizza. And then you can see it as individual responses. Or in a list form here. Let's see. I don't know what ugali is. So good. A good mixture of foods. And then you can also see the responses in a spreadsheet form. And then depending on, now the only thing I don't see here is maybe it should be by student. That's the one that's interesting. Maybe I needed to create the form as something that is, I thought you would be able to get the students' information here. Might not have, I think it's, this is the piece that I forgot to do. So in the settings, when you're creating the form, what it looks like you have to do is click on this collect email addresses so that you know who submitted the form. Otherwise, you won't know. So that's one piece that I forgot to do for this particular assignment. Okay.
Kia, are you trying to see their responses?
Not see the response, but who responded.
Okay.
That's the, yeah. So I think that's the piece I forgot to do. I apologize. So let's see. Okay, and then you can assign grades to each one. I'll give everybody a 10. And it's up to you guys how you grade each assignment. Okay. And then what you'll see here in this tab, the grades tab, you'll see that everybody has a grade. Yeah. All right. Any questions so far? All right. So then once you're done grading, it gives you the opportunity, looks like, to kind of adjust the grades. Once you're done, you can go to review and mark as reviewed. And we should be good to go.
La one is asking, why did it say draft?
On there, in here, let's see, turned in. So then, let's see, return. Okay. So what this means is you can type in the grade here, and then once you're done grading and you're finalized entering in all the grades, then you can return it to each student. And then now should be graded. So now this is their final grade. So it's no longer a draft. And then you can see here, there's no more to review. And you'll see that now it's, because I guess if you're kind of busy and you want to put in some grades beforehand, and then maybe you need to adjust the grades before you finalize the grades, it'll be in that draft mode. And then once you're done and you're finalized the grades, then you can return it back to the students. Once it's returned, then it's no longer a draft mode. And then you'll see in the grade section, everybody that has turned it in and the class average and so on. Any questions? Okay. All right. The last piece of it is creating a rubric. So let's say I created a new assignment. And I create another form. What is your favorite vacation spot? And it'll be another short answer one. Make it required. Let's see if this works. I'll collect the email addresses. Here. This required. And this one is done. Now, what I can do is I'm going to, assign this to all the students. Before I assign it, there's this thing called a rubric. So I'm going to create a rubric. Okay. And this rubric will give you kind of the ability to assign points, a scoring system based on specific criteria for that specific assignment. So this one is a simple one where it's just one question, but maybe if it's something like an essay, then you can say, does it meet specific requirements? And each requirement can have a point value associated with it. So is it 200 words? Maybe that's a requirement. Does another criteria can be, does it make sense? Makes sense. I don't know. Maybe that's another points requirement. You know, this is 5 points. Maybe the other one, it could be something like, I don't know, have 3 specific points, and so on. So 5 points, 10 points, This one is also maybe 20 points, and then so on. And then it'll be out of a total of 35 points. Okay. Click on save. Another due date, maybe today. And assign it to the class. Once you assign it, then each student should be able to see this classwork and submit it. And then for me, I should be able to grade it, not just randomly, but this gives each student specific requirements that they need to meet to be able to achieve the full marks, right? And you can specify the criteria up front, so there's no confusion. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Those are the 5 basic functions. It looks like Marilyn has provided, maybe, or somebody has provided. I'm not sure if maybe I can provide the link to the Google class that the conference has created. Maybe that's where this came from, because ours is pretty in-depth. So, and I know my wife and I didn't create this on our own. For example, we have the different, so I'm just gonna show you kind of an example of what we've done. And again, we didn't create this on our own. Maybe this came from the conference, but we've split it up into different topics. And each topic has specific assignments, and then different things that you can add to those assignments, different forms. I think that's the easiest way to maybe ask specific questions. If you want them to write like an essay or something, they can attach Google Docs to it, or maybe Google Slides if they want to do some sort of presentation. We've also attached things like a PDF of, I know one of the requirements is to read Steps to Christ. So we've attached the Steps to Christ PDF. We also utilize a Google Drive. So if somebody wants to read Steps to Christ, they can read it here, but we've also attached a Google Drive folder that contains the audiobook of Steps to Christ. So that's also in here as well. So you guys can do that as well. Some of the other things that you can do is, let's see, a lot of them are forms. Again, that's, I think, the easiest way to keep track of different things, or PDFs, or different presentations. I think you can also do something like this, where you can create Google drawings. My phone. So you can ask them to create drawings, and you attach a drawing here, a Google drawing, and then they can draw something in here too. And since it's associated to their account, this will be the one that's associated to my account here. Okay. Okay, that's it for that. One bonus advanced function. So let's see if we can do this. All right. Specifically for COVID, one thing that we've done is a virtual field trip. So let's see if we can do something like that. I'm going to create an assignment, and virtual field trip for, actually, I'm going to do it for this history one, Pathfinder history. Actually, create an assignment, virtual history Pathfinder history. Use Google My Maps to mark on a map at least 5 historical Pathfinder history locations. Okay. So create a form and link to my map. Link. Please provide link to my map. Should be a link. Okay. And make this required. All right. So what is my map? I'll show you. So you go to google.com, my map. Let's see if we can do this. So if you go to google.com/maps, I believe you can just go to google.com/maps. Oh, my maps. I've started this already. So you can create your own map with your own points on that map. I've started one here. If you go here, let's see. What I've done is I've created at least 3 different historical locations for in Pathfinder history. So let's look at the first one. This one is in Idlewild, California. In 1954, this was the location of the first Pathfinder camporee from May 7th through 9th. So what you can do is create a link here and create a pin in this location and give it a name and a description. And this is the in Hale, Colorado, or Camp Hale, Colorado, 1985 was the location of the first NAD Pathfinder camporee. This is cool. And then in 1926, way back in 1926, this location, Town Line Lake in Michigan, was the location of the first junior camporee that was held in the US. Let's see if we can do another one. So I was looking at this location here, or this document. So I'll put 1947, in San Francisco, California. It was the first NAD Youth Congress. So 1947. So what I can do here is San Francisco, California. It places a pin here. Click on add to map. Oh, sorry. Add to map. And then edit. And put here, San Francisco, first NAD Youth Congress, and 1947. So I can put something here. It's like 1926, first Youth Congress. And that's in here. All right. And then what you can do with this is you can share this map. Let's see. Share. And copy the link. And then post it to this new form that you created as an answer. Okay. So that's another tool that you can use in your class to be able to maybe, especially during this time of COVID, do like a virtual tour of Adventist history. All right. Any other questions? All right. Okay, it's already 9:58. I'm gonna go over, like I said, Google Classroom is probably the most advanced one out of the 3 topics we're gonna discuss today. The next one we're gonna go over is Jotform. So what is Jotform? So Jotform is an online form builder where you can create online forms. You can get an email for each response. So every time somebody responds, an email can be sent to you. You can collect that data. I'm gonna try to take it from a different perspective. Okay, so what is the difference between Jotform and Google Forms, which we've talked about pretty extensively already? So one thing that's different about Jotform is that you can, customize the form to make it look a little bit better, a little bit different. It has advanced styling options. Compared to something like this, Google Forms, it's pretty standard. It's pretty simple. There are very minimal styling changes you can make. But in terms of Jotform, it's a little bit more customizable. That's one. You can save time and effort, speed up and simplify your daily work by automating complex tasks with Jotform's industry-leading features. So one of the features that I think Jotform has that Google Forms does not is it has the ability to create forms that have conditional logic. So what is conditional logic? You can make forms where depending on your answer to, let's say, question number 1, question number 2 can either be omitted completely for certain users, hidden, or it can have a different question for question number 2, depending on what you have on question number 1. You can send emails to specific users. You can show different thank you messages to different users. Depending on how your user fills out the form on that Jotforms has or creates can be customized to each respondent. It can be different. Okay. The other feature, so that's in a nutshell. I think it's a little bit more. If, for example, Google Forms, I would say, from my experience, Google Forms can probably fulfill 80 to 90% of your requirements when you're creating forms. Whether it's registration for the club, or maybe even registration for a specific event, let's say a camping event you have for your club, or asking for t-shirt sizes. That might be a use case for Google Forms. Jotforms, if you have a form that you want to create that Google Form is not going to fulfill, or it just doesn't have that ability, then I would say Jotform is a good alternative. The requirements for Jotforms, you can log in or sign up for Jotform using your Google account, a Facebook account, or just an email address. That's one. Unlike Google Forms, Jotforms can be a paid product. They're free. They do have a free tier, but it's a little limited. But maybe for most of our needs, it may fulfill our needs. For example, you can have 100 monthly submissions. I would venture to guess, unless your club is very large, this may be okay. Even the 100 megabyte limit of space, that's probably okay as well. So it really depends on your specific requirements. They do have a free tier. Even the paid tiers, what I found is this is kind of the retail price of the bronze, silver, and gold tiers, but they do offer a 50% discount if you require it for nonprofits, which probably all of us qualify for. Okay. So the 5 basic functions of Jotform. Let's go through that together real quick. We're going to create an account, create a new feedback form. This is something that I don't think Google Forms has, is a star rating. And then you can disable a form on a specific date, and then we can publish and share that form. All right, let's go. Let's go from here. Jotform. So I've already logged in, created my account and logged in. Let's see if I can show you. So once you go to jotform.com, you can sign up if you don't already have an account. And you can click on sign up here, or with one of the 3 methods I showed you before. You can sign up with your email address. What it'll do is ask you for your name, email address, password, create an account, and then you'll get an email from Jotform asking you to confirm your email address. Assuming you've done that, then this is the screen that will show up. I've created 2 forms here, but you can click on create form, and you can either start from scratch or use a template. This is an additional advantage that I think Jotform has over Google Forms. I couldn't find a central location where it has this many templates that you can choose from. I'm sure there are templates out there that you can Google, but it's here, right here. So basically, if you click on Jotform and then create a form, it'll give you the option of creating a form from scratch, using a template, or maybe even importing a form from some other source. Let's let's use a template. Okay. Let's see. Let's do a feedback form. So use a template, and then what it'll do is show this feedback form. So maybe this can be used at the end of your club year to collect feedback from parents and students, saying, hey, leave some comments, suggestions, or questions that you have. And this is already created for you as a template. You can either edit each section by clicking on that section here directly, feedback form. Feedback form, and you can edit the content of that. You can delete it if you want. You can move it around. It's just dragging and dropping. This one is feedback type. So this is a radio button type of feedback. Maybe you can also create an other option here. All right, describe your feedback. Before this, maybe I'll do feedback form here. So if I click on form element, click on that plus button, then you can create all these different types of form elements. Let's see, the one that I said I was going to do was a star rating. So let's add this here. What is your overall experience this year? What was, and we'll do like this. Okay. And you can kind of make it a required field. And if you make it required, a red star pops up. You can have different types of ratings. Again, for me, being a very like utilitarian type of person, this thing doesn't appeal to me too much. But I know my wife, she loves things like this, making things look pretty. So you can do that as well. Okay, and then name and email address, those are required fields. And This is the submit form. You can change the button text, submit for feedback. Okay. And it has other options here as well, which you guys can go over on your own. You can preview the form. If we click on preview, this is what the form will look like to your users. Okay. And then here's the link for that. And you can preview it in phone, what it'll look like on your phone, on a tablet, and a desktop computer, even what it looks like, using different orientation, whether it's landscape mode like this on your phone or portrait mode on both the phone and tablet. So you can see what the form looks like. Okay. Once you create that form, then you can also design it with different color schemes. You can assign different images to it, a form image, different fonts, and save all of that. There's many different things, different styles. If you're so inclined, you can create your own styling using CSS programming stuff. Or they have different themes that you can use as well. Colorful theme. So these are pretty cool. Okay. Once you're done with that, you have different settings. You can title your form. And then this is what I was talking about earlier. Once you enable the form, you can say, you know what? And this is something I don't think Google Forms has, maybe not to this level. For example, you can say, once there are X number of submissions, I want to disable this form. Maybe only the first 100 people can submit. Or you can do something like this, where it disables on whatever comes first. Either the submission limit, 100 people, the first 100 people, or a specific day that it's submitted, a specific day that it expires on. And you can even do it at a specific time too. So let's do something like that. 10:15, it will expire. Submission limit, maybe the first 7 people. Okay, and then you can do this. Okay, you can even do things like, I don't know if we can do this. You can try that, or you can password protect it, and so on. There's many different options, again, that Google Forms may not have. So it really depends on what your requirements are. Okay. You can send the email to both. For example, if you have multiple directors, maybe a co-director or maybe a secretary you want an email notification sent to, then you can say, I want a notification email. That's if you have a paid account. But if you have a paid account, you can have a notification email sent to multiple people. Okay. If you have the mobile app, Jotform app installed on your phone, then you can also have that notification enabled on your phone as soon as you get a submission on the form. And then you can even customize the thank you page of that form at the end of the submission, right? And let's publish it. So I'm going to copy this link. Again, similar to Google Classroom, you can either share it via a link or to specific people, or maybe even if you want to share it on Facebook, you click on share form, and something that you can possibly do is share it to your club's Facebook page or Facebook group. Or you can even create a QR code. today I'm just going to share this link in here. All right, let's see if we get some submissions. Okay, while I wait for some form submissions, there was one question: how do we Google Meet within Google Classroom? That's a good question. I'll answer that one after, at the end of this. I see 2 submissions already. Oh. Okay, and then you'll be able to see the submissions in this form here. All right, and you can print it, create a PDF off of it, and so on. Many different ways that you can download this information. I believe it should also be in my email. Yeah, here we go. See, as soon as somebody emails, submits a job form, then it'll be emailed to you. So you won't be in the dark. Okay. I think that's it. So we've gone through this pretty quickly. The last one, any questions on job forms? All right, the last item is Dropbox, and I'll go back to the Google Meet afterwards. Dropbox, so what is Dropbox? Dropbox, for those that don't know, how many of you guys know what these things are? Probably most of you know what this is. I would say fewer people know what these things are. So back in the day when I was growing up, before the internet, when we had documents that we needed to share or files we needed to share, we used these things called floppy disks. And the reason why they're called floppy disks was because they were physically floppy. It was bendable. At least this one was. And then they found out that these things were too kind of not sturdy enough. So they made a floppy disk that was a little bit more in a hard plastic shell. Anyways, and then now we use these things called thumb drives or USB drives, where you can plug it into your computer, and you can transfer files from one computer to another. However, these days, because files are huge, these things it probably wouldn't even be able to hold one picture on this one big drive. And even these thumb drives, there's limitations, and I'll go over that. Nowadays, especially in COVID times where we don't have the luxury of being able to physically be in the same room as somebody else, we have to use online file sharing systems. Dropbox, from my understanding, is one of the first online file sharing websites that came out a long time ago. So it's an online file storage service that brings all of your team's content together while letting you use the tools you love, help cut through the clutter, surfacing what matters most. So I would say from this sentence, this is the most important, is it allows you to share files online with other people, whether it's your students or your other club coordinators or counselors. Big files, easily, without having to be in the same location. This one, even though it's pretty easy to use since most computers have USB drives, especially now during COVID, social distancing, it's probably much safer to share things online. Okay. So what are the requirements of Dropbox? So number one, you have to have a Dropbox account. To create a Dropbox account, they allow you to create a Dropbox account either with your Google account or just any email address. That's one. The other one is money. So Dropbox has a free tier, a basic tier, but they also have some paid ones as well. So the free one, it gives you 2 GB of storage for free. It allows you to access your data anywhere, anytime, like most tools. So one of the cool things about Dropbox, probably similar to most other online storage tools, is you can access your Dropbox account through any internet connected device. They've done a good job in having apps available on your devices and a website, Dropbox.com. Also, I'll go over it a little bit later. You can also install a Dropbox program on your computer so that it looks like any other folder on your computer. Okay. It does a computer backup and all these other things. Some of these things are, again, only available for Plus or professional members. But I would say for most of our purposes, if Dropbox fulfills, the basic account fulfills our requirements. So 5 basic functions. Let's create an account, create a folder within that account, upload a file to that account, and then let's share that folder or file with people. And then the last one is publish and share that form. You know what? This is from the other one. It's just this. Share the file with people. Okay. So if you go to Dropbox.com, what you will see is this page, and the first page that comes up is a sign up form. You can either sign up here by entering your email address and a new password, and then clicking on sign up. Or if you're already signed into your Google account, you can just click on this button, and it will allow you to. It will do basically this thing for you automatically. Okay. Once you do that, you will be taken to this Dropbox website. So I have many different things in here. May look a little overwhelming, but let me see if I can describe these sections for you. So basically, on the left-hand side is the different types of files, whether it's all of your files, files that have been shared with you, files that maybe you want to request to somebody else, okay? Or maybe deleted files. This is one of the coolest things about Dropbox, and I'll talk about it a little bit later. And then they have some other tools here that you can go into, but I'm only going to go over the basic ones. So let's see. We can click on all files, and I'm going to create a new folder. This section contains all of your files and folders, just like you would see on your computer desktop. That's how they've organized it. So you'll see that these blue boxes are folders, and files that are just laying in kind of the default folder of Dropbox would be indicated by some icon. Maybe it's an icon of the actual file. If it's a picture, it may have a little thumbnail of the picture. The icons that have a folder and then 2 people inside of it, that means that's a folder that was shared with you by somebody else. And you can see that 4 different people have shared this, are using this shared folder. One important thing that you want to know about is if you have a shared folder that has a lot of, whenever a shared folder is part of your account, that counts against your 2 GB limit. So for example, if somebody shares, like this one is a whole bunch of pictures that we took at a 5K event, and there's a lot of pictures in there. It takes a lot of storage on that account. It counts towards your storage. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You may start, if you start sharing a lot of large files with a lot of different people, then you're gonna quickly run down on your storage space. All right, I'm going to create a new folder, test folder. And I can create that folder specifically for me or with people that I predefine. Now, you can initially start with just sharing with yourself and then add people later on. So that's what I'm going to do here. Create it. And then I'm going to upload a file here. So what I'm going to do, yes, I see a question here. Can you have more than one Dropbox account? Yes, you can, but it's one Dropbox account per email address or per Google account. So you have to keep that in mind. So for example, I have two. I have one at my keysong@gmail account, and then I have a second one at keyillsong@gmail.com. Good question. You can add, and this is kind of new to me, you can add actual files, or you can add Google Docs here too. And I think the cooler thing, if you're used to using Microsoft documents, then you can add Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel or Microsoft PowerPoint documents here as well and share those. So I think that's a differentiator between Dropbox and something like Google Drive. Whereas Google Drive, you can't necessarily associate Word docs to it. It kind of does something different where it converts the Word document into a Google Doc. But if you share a Word doc through Dropbox, then you can edit it together in here. Okay. Let's see. So what I'm going to do, you can create a new file here, or you can upload a new file. So that's what I'm going to do here. To upload it, you can drag and drop files onto this window to upload. So I'm going to drag and drop this Pathfinder document here. You'll see it's uploading and it's done. Okay. So now I have this PDF document in this folder. Right now, this folder and this document is only visible to me. So it doesn't matter if, so it's secure. There's no way that anybody else can see it unless I explicitly share it with somebody else. So I'm going to go to that test folder and let's see if I can share it. I'm going to share it. Now I can share it to specific people like Miguel. And I can give him different permissions. Either he can edit it or he can just view it. I'm going to give him the ability to just view it. This is a test folder. I can share it specifically with him. Now, only Miguel can see it. The other way I can share it is I can create a link where anybody with this link can view it. So I'm going to share this link with everybody in the chat window. So then if you click on that link, let's see, I'm going to go into a private session and I share this, I click on that link, then you'll see this folder and then all the contents of that folder in here without having to have a Dropbox account. So this is a cool way that you can share forms, like medical forms, for example, with your club members. The blank forms, you can share it, and then they can download the PDF to their computer without you having to email it to each person. You can just share this folder with them. And then if you click on it, you'll see that the PDF is here, and you can allow them to download the file here. Or maybe you can, if you already have a Dropbox account and you want to save it to your Dropbox account for later, instead of saving it to your computer, you can click on Save to My Dropbox. Okay. The other thing is, if you're logged into your Dropbox account and the other people are as well, then you can see who's editing the document. All right. The other thing is, so this is just the Dropbox website. I know we only have a couple minutes left. This is the Dropbox website, but you can also download the Dropbox app to your phone and your computer. And what you can do with that is essentially, here's a Dropbox account that I have. Oh, hold on one second. My Dropbox account, I have the app downloaded on my computer. And what I will be able to see is once my hard drive is opened, here's a Dropbox account, and everything that is in my Dropbox account will automatically be synced to this folder. See, I didn't download it myself, but you'll see that automatically synced over this file to my computer so that I can view it on my computer. All right. All right. If there aren't any more questions, one last thing I wanted to quickly go over is the, let's see, for an assignment. The question was regarding Google Meet. I think one thing you can do is you can create a calendar event, test Google Meet, and then add a Google Meet conference. And you can add this to your stream. That's one thing that you can do. I'm sure there's other ways you can do it. But you can post a Google Meet account meeting here, maybe here, or to a calendar event. All right. Any questions? I know we're just about done.
Can you show that one more time, please?
The Google Meet. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So in your Google Calendar, you can create a calendar event. Say test. So maybe something is like Rangers meeting for September. Let's see, October 3rd. And then just click on Add Google Meet Conference. So Google actually made Google Meet free. So you can just click on that button. And then you can schedule the time. So it's going to be October 3rd from maybe 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock. And then you can add the different guests and click on save. And it will create the Meet event for you. You can copy that link to Google Meet and add it to your stream here.
How did you get to the Google Calendar or the Google? Yeah.
Google Calendar. So under classwork, there's a link here that says Google Calendar.
Okay. I don't know. I just missed it.
Yep.
Okay. And then
yes.
have restrictions like the Zoom, or is there a limited time?
No, so a good question. So Google Meet has no time limit. The free one has a limit of, I believe, 100 people, but it has no time limit. The only thing that it doesn't have, at least the free version, is there's no call-in number. So you have to log in with a computer or a phone, like with a Google Meet app. You cannot call into that phone. That makes sense. At least not the free one. But there's no time limit. So I personally, because I don't have a Zoom account that's paid for. Our club uses Google Meet for our meetings because it's free and it meets, there's no time limit, and we can have up to 100 people for free.
And you just click on the link and you're able to see the visual of everybody?
Yes. Yes. It's almost exactly the same as what is that? As Zoom.
But you have to download the Google Meet app.
If you're doing it from a phone, if you're doing it from your computer, you just need a Chrome browser and go to meet.google.com. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I think that's it. Abigail, if you can kind of close the meeting for us. Hopefully the mic works. Yeah.
I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Technology, right? I saw one of the questions come up on the chat, how to access the Texas Conference classrooms, the template for the classes. Everybody can just email Edie's at the youth minister's office, and she will send you a copy. So just email her and she'll send it to you. Thank you, Key and Miguel. I know Miguel hasn't taught in the English side, but I appreciate you, everybody. I want you guys to know that Key and Miguel have dedicated so much time to helping us with this, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for donating your times, everybody, to help the Pathfinders in your local clubs. Marilyn had to go off because she is teaching at NAD, I believe, right now. So if you guys have any more additional questions or additional need for more help, feel free to email Edie's at the Texas Conference and she'll send it to Marilyn. And if I'm still included to help out, I'll be there to try to find the right people to give us the information. So let's have a quick prayer and then we can end this class. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity that you allow each of us to serve you through Pathfinder Ministry. Thank you for Miguel and Key's knowledge and willingness to share it with us. Please bless everyone in this chat and those that will probably be seeing it later on YouTube, that we continue to learn so that we can serve you better. In Jesus' name, amen.